Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday and happy October, and welcome back to another live. I hope you're all doing well. And you're probably wondering, where have I been the last couple of weeks? I have been traveling and I have been really busy. So I have a lot to share with you. So please look forward to some of that travel content coming through in my posts and my reels. But we have a lot to get through today, and I think that it's so important that I talk about this now, because as we move into the upcoming months and into the latter part of the year and into the new year, we're going to see a lot of people awakening. We're going to see a lot of people looking towards spirituality and starting their ascension and their awakening journey. So I think that this is a crucial time that you hear some of the information that I'm going to share. And I think that you are going to be able to use what I'm going to share with you today to actually pinpoint and help guide you and figure out where you are at in this journey. So again, feel free to ask any questions if you have any in the comment box below. I'll be happy to answer this. And again, let's get started. So what do I want to talk about today? Today, I want to talk about some of the ways that spirit, source, or the universe or God, whatever you want to call it, communicates with you. And you're probably thinking, like, you probably heard some of this before. Let's be honest. You probably heard like some of the ways that I'm going to go over, but I want to go into it a little bit more, because I feel that although we may know about some of the ways that the spirit or universe communicates with us, it's kind of foreign to people because we're here in the 3D world, in the physical reality, and then you have something or someone in a dimension or other, outside reality that is giving you information, and it's hard to kind of understand how the two connect and how it's interrelated and how the communication happens. So that's what we're going to talk about today. You may think that there is a limited number of ways that spirit or source communicates with you, and I'm here to actually tell you that there's not. There's actually a lot of ways, and I'm going to try to explain it to you to the best of my ability, because it does get a little bit confusing and it does get a little bit overwhelming. But I think that if you have the knowledge, which I'm going to give you today, that you're going to be able to really figure out and differentiate between the different types of ways that spirit or source will communicate with you. And like I said, while you're listening to this, use this as a guide to help you figure out where you are at in the journey, because a lot of people are in different places, and this could be a great exercise for you. Okay, so let's get started. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment box below. If you're watching the replay, just leave a comment. I'll be happy to answer that. We have a lot to get through, so I'm going to move fast, but also move slow and try to give you the crucial information. Hi to everybody that's joined. Hi, Matthew Spaceman. So again, I have my notes and everything's written down, so let's kind of move through it. So what is one of the ways that spirit or source communicates with you? And I know you guys have heard this before, but it's through your intuition and your inner knowing. And I know that you've actually heard me talk about this before, this deeper inner knowing. So how can I describe this to you? Is it like a gut feeling? You'll probably relate more to that terminology, this gut feeling, because you probably experienced that in the 3D reality. So this inner knowing is kind of like a gut feeling. This intuition feels like a gut feeling, but it's more than that. So it's more than that in the sense that it feels more peaceful and certain. So you know how like a gut feeling is like, I feel, or like I think he's going to call me, or like I think I'm going to get this job, or you just have a little inkling. But a gut feeling is deeper. It is a peaceful and certain knowing, and it comes from a small, still voice within. It is a voice that does not shut up. It is a voice that does not go away. And because it is so still, that's where the trust and the certainty comes from, because it is so still, it is so peaceful, and it is so certain that you yourself will not feel that doubt. So sometimes with gut feelings, we do feel a sense of doubt, right? We just have a feeling, and then like something happens and maybe the feeling goes away. But with intuition and inner knowing, it does not go away. It stays there, and it is almost solidified within your being because of the certainty. So it's quite different from a gut feeling, but I want you to use a gut feeling as to how to relate to this, okay? So what we're looking for when we're talking about intuition and inner knowing is peaceful uncertainty and a small voice within. And that's one of the ways in which spirit or source will use to communicate with you. Okay. And I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I have that, but I want you to like go a little bit deeper and dig deeper and really try to figure out like, you know, like run a test. That's what I did. I would get these deeper knowings or these gut feeling, and I would write it down and see like, does it play out the way that I thought or the way that I felt or the way that I was receiving the information? So you kind of use it as a test and use it to like help gauge how well your communication and your connection with source or spirit is. Okay. That's number one. Number two, the next way that source or spirit communicates with you is through dreams and visions. And I know I've talked about this before and other people have talked about this before, and this may feel like, yeah, you dream all the time, or yes, you may have visions all the time, but this feels different, and it's so hard to explain unless you've actually experienced it yourself, what a dream or vision feels like. And I know I've communicated that with you guys so often of like what it feels like and things that you should be looking for. But what I can say about dreams and visions is that it generally feels different. And you guys all know what a dream feels like. Hi, Chanel Robinson, how are you? But visions and dreams feel extremely different in the sense that one thing that you could look for when you're dreaming or having a vision is that it is vivid. Okay, a dream and vision is extremely vivid when it's coming from source or spirit. It is so clear that you will remember it upon waking. You could even hear noise in the background and you remember it. It is absolutely 100% vivid. You will remember the details. You will remember the nuances of the dream or the vision. Or the dream or the vision will be a very emotionally charged, and usually it's like an overwhelming feeling of emotion, right? Usually it's a sense of like love, right? So it will be so emotionally charged that you'll know that this is a dream or vision that is coming directly from source or spirit. So look for how vivid it is and look how emotionally charged it is, and that's how you know that spirit or source is communicating with you through your dreams and your visions, right? It will feel very different than a normal dream or vision. So you really have to learn to differentiate what is in like just dream state that your body goes into and what is actually a dream or vision that's coming from source, right? And how are they using this to communicate with you? So, and I know like I said before, people have talked about this or shared this information before, but again, you want to go deeper and you want to really learn to differentiate when it's coming from source and when it's just naturally happening to you. Okay? Because I don't know, you guys, it gets wild. Like it really gets wild, and you really, and I want to, when I say like you need to figure it out, you will know. Like also you will know. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, you will know, like back to number one, you will know that it's an actual dream. You will know that it's an actual vision. You will know its actual source. So yes, like I'm telling this to you and I'm saying differentiate because maybe you haven't experienced it yet, but generally you will know, right? That it's coming from source or spirit. Okay, does that make sense? Let me know if you guys have any questions. Get your tea because this is going to be a long one. Okay, so we have intuition and inner knowing, dreams and vision. The next way that source or spirit communicates with you, and I know you've heard this before, it is through synchronicities, okay? So yes, they communicate with you through synchronicities. The synchronicities align to perfectly, they align so that they are too perfect to be random, right? That's how synchronicities work. And that's how you know that it's coming from spirit or source. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen synchronicities, and I'm not just talking about your regular 1111, 999, 222s, right? Like, there's other synchronicities. Like, let's say you are suffering illness and then you see a sign about that illness. Or let's say you are thinking about someone and then you all of a sudden see them crossing the street. Like, that is aligning so perfectly that there has to be something greater at play, that it's just so foreign that it couldn't have happened on its own. These synchronicities, when it's coming from spirit and source, they feel like gentle nudges from the universe, okay? You will know that something else is at play because it is too distant for this to have happened on its own. Okay, so that's why I said in the beginning, and it's aligning so perfectly that it cannot be random, right? And that's how you'll know, because you'll see common synchronicities like 1111, like I mentioned, and that's just like, that's just, I don't want to say basic, but that's like a basic synchronicity, right? I'm talking like deeper level synchronicities where there's no way that this could have happened. And that's you getting and receiving information and a nudge from the universe that, hey, this is the message we're trying to communicate with you. Does that make sense? It's really hard to explain. All of these are hard to explain unless you've really experienced them on your own, because it will sound foreign to you what I'm saying, because you won't get it unless you experience it. But the fact that I'm telling you about it and you're listening about it, it should help you and trigger you when you do experience them, and you'll remember this live, okay? So take notes if you can. Okay. So we have the synchronicities, going beyond the basic synchronicities, okay? The next way that source or spirits communicates with you is they will give you signs in the physical world. What does that mean? In the physical world, meaning in the 3D, meaning in this room that I'm in, or when you're out every day, you will see patterns in natures, in animals, in songs, in, buildings. You will see patterns. You will see something or a sign in the physical world that will trigger you to know that spirit or source is communicating with you. And it can look very different. Usually it's through nature or animals, but I know people who've seen like billboard signs, license plates, messages in the clouds. Like, it can be anything. So you really have to keep an open mind and stay very open to this and think very broadly and really expand how you think that this is going to happen for you. Okay, so you will see signs in the physical world, and it's not like, especially when it comes to signs, people are like, well, what if I miss the sign, or what if I don't see it? It doesn't work like that. Same thing how I said with the intuition and the visions and the dreams. You will know that the sign is there for you. You will not miss it. They will make sure that you see it. They will make sure that if you're missing it and you're not getting it, or like you're confused about it, then it's not coming from source or spirit. When it's coming from source or spirit, like I said, you will know. You will feel the resonance of the truth and the knowing in your body, so that you will know. So again, with the patterns in nature and the animals, the songs, the license plates, the billboards, whatever you want to call it, the books, you will know. 100%, there's no question about that. You will absolutely know that this was a message that was for you. Okay. Am I moving too fast for you guys? Let me know. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment box. Another way that source or spirit communicates with you is by other people. They will use other people to get messages and to communicate with you. And this usually happens in conversations or chance encounters where you randomly meet someone and they say something that you've been thinking of or working on, or you are having a conversation with a family member or a loved one or a friend, and then they say something that completely resonates with you. Spirit and source will use people, not in a malicious way, right? But they will use people to get messages across to you. And are these people, and this question comes up because I also wondered this too at one point. I'm like, are they knowing participants? Do they know that this is happening? Do they know that they are being used in this manner? The answer is no. They don't consciously in the moment know. They may, if they're awakened and they're aligned and they're in tune, they may at some point figure it out, but generally they don't know that they're being used in this way. They don't know that they are communicating messages from source to you. So really, they don't know, right? And they don't know they're being used. And like I said, they're not being used in a malicious way. They're not being used in a hurtful way. They're just being used in a way they're just using it away by source, and that's it. It's nothing really deeper than that, okay? It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean that they're like troubled or gifted or whatever you want to think about. Okay, does that make sense? I feel like I'm going really fast through these. Which I probably am, you guys, because there's a lot. Okay, the next one, and this is, okay, let me figure this, how I'm going to explain these to you. The first 6 that I go through, so we're going on the 6th one now. These are what I would call the most basic ways or forms that source may communicate with you. After this, when we move to the 7th one and onwards, they're a little bit more advanced, okay? So that's why I'm saying use this as a guide to really figure out where you're at and what you're experiencing. Yes, it is not linear, okay? You can have intuition and dreams, but then you have something later on in the list. That's what happened to me, right? I was experiencing more advanced ways of communication really early on in my journey, and some of the most basic ones came later on in the journey. So that's what I'm saying. You use it as a guide and as like a gauge of kind of where you're at and what you're experiencing, but don't take it to heart if you're not following a linear way that I'm going through them. Okay, the 6th way that source or spirit will communicate with you is through prayer or quiet moments. So it is in prayer and these quiet moments that a certain stillness comes about. And the stillness is helpful because it brings about peace, understanding, or a sudden idea. And this is why I say the stillness is important, because you need the stillness to hear what source or spirit is saying. You won't hear it if you're like, sitting at your desk doing your work, or you won't hear it if you're having family time. You need your body and your mind to be still. That's why it usually comes through quiet moments in prayer, in nature, meditation, whatever, right? It's that stillness where the message will come through, and it will come through very clearly. It may be a sudden idea, it may be an understanding, it may be something like that, but it will come through in the stillness. They need you to quiet down your mind so that you can hear the message. Because imagine you're having a million different thoughts and then you get the message and it's, in there with your 100 other thoughts of what's going on around you and stimulating you around you. Like, you're going to miss it. You're not going to get the essence of it. So that's why I'm saying it comes through like in quiet moments such as prayer. So you have to really try to appreciate and get into that level of stillness, if that makes sense. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Okay, number 7. The 7th way that spirit or source will communicate with you is through vibrational resonance and energetic language. Well, that's what vibrational resonance is, right? It's energetic language. So, and I know you have heard people talk about this before, about like the frequencies, and yes, they speak in frequencies, okay? And it is through the frequencies that you will get sudden clarity. I'm just looking at my notes here. So how can I explain this to you? So the energetic language is that of vibrational frequency and vibrational resonance. You need to understand the energetic language. You need to understand energy. You need to understand frequency, like I've told you before. They will speak in frequencies, meaning it is not something that is communicating through words. It is something that is felt. That is something that is it's something that is like, what's the word? The word I'm thinking of, like, it's integrated. That's the word. It's a frequency that you will feel integrated into your body, into your mind, and into your being, and into your essence. That's why I'm saying the frequency will give you a sudden clarity, because this is so hard to explain in like words, and especially if you don't really know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to try to break this down as clearly as I can, and let me know if you guys need more clarification. So we have the energetic language, right? Which is the frequencies, the vibrational resonance. Don't get confused by the language or the words. So you need to understand the frequency and the vibration that is being emitted, because that sudden clarity will come from the shift in frequency. There, I've explained it. You will know what they're saying to you or trying to communicate with you by the sudden shift in energy, by the sudden shift in vibration, by the sudden shift in the resonance of the frequency. So that's why I'm saying, like, all the time where I'm telling you guys, like, my language first is energetics. Like, I work with energetics. I don't work with like what people are saying or like actions or anything like that. It's energetics first. So you really need to understand the energetic language and the way that frequencies and vibration works and how it is being communicated to you, and how the sudden shifts in frequency can send you messages or send you clarity. Does that make sense to you guys? The rest are going to get complex, so I need you to kind of replay this and really let it sink in what I'm saying, okay? So that's vibrational resonance, the energetic language. The next way, we have so much, is the language of alignment. And you've heard me talk about alignment before. So alignment is when your outer world mirrors your inner growth. And alignment from the spirit world will result in doors closing and new paths opening, and it will be very effortless for you. So the language of alignment will help you know that spirit or source is communicating with you, right? They will close certain avenues. They will show you new pathways. They will open new doors for you. Things will just work out with you. You will be in flow state. You don't feel resistance. And that's how you know that you're in alignment, and you will feel that, and you will know that they're communicating this with you, right? That you're on the right path, you're on the right track. So the language of alignment is what you need to understand. And I know a lot of people understand alignment, but like I've said before, alignment is very fleeting, right? You can be in alignment one day and then fall out of alignment the next day. So you really have to understand the language of alignment and how you can stay in alignment all the time. Like, that's pretty much it. So yeah, it's when your outer world mirrors your inner growth, and it's really effortless. You don't have to do a single thing. Spirit or source does everything for you, and you just really need to, once you experience alignment once, you will know what it feels like, so that you will be able to know what it is when you experience it again. Put it that way, okay? It feels very different. It feels like the word is perfect. Like, it feels perfect. When you're in alignment, everything feels perfect. And it feels like you didn't have to do anything. So you really need to understand the language of alignment and how alignment works, okay? Okay. The next way that spirit or source communicates with you is through the subtle realms. So, how am I going to explain this? Okay, the subtle realms are, for example, dreams. So in your dreams, you may see certain archetypes, you may see sacred geometry, you may see animals, you may see ancestors, you may see spirit animals, native animals, you may see religious beings, you may see, I don't know, okay? But those are just some examples. So they will communicate with you in dream state by using some of these things that I've listed, okay? So they're using the subtle realms, dream state, to communicate with you, like I've talked to you about before earlier in this live. The next way that they're using a subtle realm, and why am I calling them subtle realms? Because they're realms that you really don't give that much attention to, right? Like, you don't sit there all day thinking about your dreams or your dream state. You don't sit there about the next subtle realm, which is nature, all day, right? Like, you just see nature and you're like, cool, the fall colors look amazing. But like, it's through these subtle realms that they're communicating with you. And you've heard me talk about this 100 times, that you guys really need to learn how to communicate and understand how nature speaks to you, which you guys don't do. But it is through the subtle realm of nature that they also talk to you, right? The wind, the animals, the water, they are all carriers of divine intelligence, and they're always talking to you, and they always got something to say. Let me tell you that. They never shut up, but you just cannot listen, and you don't know how to listen. So they're using the subtle realms to communicate with you. Remember, all of these are languages, they're ways and forms of communication that spirit or source are talking to you. So you've got to figure out, which one are you paying attention to and listening to? I've experienced or used all of them. Like, which ones are you going to do? Which one is working well for you? Like, really sit back and reflect and ask yourself these questions. Like, which way is the best method for you to talk to them? Which way is going to be the most conducive to where you need to be and where you want to go? Which way is supporting this reciprocal relationship between you and source? So again, like, don't just listen to what I'm saying, really deep dive and kind of apply these to your own life and to where you're at, okay? Okay, number 10, the next way is the mirror of others. Spirit and source will communicate with you through the mirror of others, meaning other people are a mirror to you. They may reflect something about your inner world, a wound, a lesson, or a blessing. Everyone is a sacred messenger. So it's kind of what you see people talking about in inner work or deep shadow work, how or even the twin flame community, someone is a mirror to you. They're reflecting back to you what you need to heal or something like that. It's pretty much the same essence, and it's pretty much kind of true, right? Source or spirit will communicate something to you. For example, maybe you have childhood wounds and your partner brings out your inner child that needs to be healed. It's a reflection back, right? They're showing you what you need to work on, but they're communicating with you by using others as a mirror. And it is, everyone in itself is a sacred messenger. And like I said before, are they aware of it? No, because they're also on the same journey and the same path. So they're not so focused on how they're being a mirror to you, but they're rather thinking about what is being reflected back to them. So again, it's either going to bring up a wound, a lesson, or a blessing that you need to pay attention to. And they are usually reflecting something about your inner world that you are not consciously aware of. It is something in your subconscious that is going on, that is leading you array that like you can't figure out. So again, the spirit or source will use others as a mirror to help you. Okay. The next way spirit or source communicates with you is through divine timing. This is an orchestration of higher intelligence. True communication often happens through divine timing. And this is such a loaded topic because I know a lot of people get really mad about divine timing because they want things to happen in their own time frame. A lot of people don't understand the concept of time really. And I've talked about time before, but divine timing, like I said here, and like listen to the wordings that I'm using to explain all of these to you, because each of the wording itself is giving you something, right? So I'm using words like divine intelligence, higher intelligence, mirrors. I'm using like the words like archetype. What did I say before? I said stillness. Like pay attention to the words that I'm using, because these in itself are key words that you need to know and recognize what they look like, sound like, and feel like. So when I'm talking about divine timing, right, this is very different from timing here in the 3D earth. This is an orchestration, meaning that certain things have to happen at a certain time, and it's orchestrated by higher intelligence, meaning you have no control of it. You don't have any awareness of it. And it is so elaborate that you can't even wrap your human mind around it to figure out. So true communication often happens. And why am I saying true communication? Because real communication, like I said, you may interpret some of these forms of communication as like, how do I explain this? You might experience synchronicities, let's say, right? And you might see 1111. Oh my God, that's a sign, but it's really not, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, you may see think something's divine timing and it's not. So that's why I'm saying this word true communication, right? All of these are the truth. That's why I'm saying pay attention to the keywords. Listen to what I'm saying that you should be able to recognize. That's how you will know that it's truly being communicated from source or spirit. So true communication often happens through divine timing, right? It doesn't happen through regular time periods or the timing that's happening here in the 3D world. So again, pay attention to the keywords here and figure out really like how they're being used, okay? Okay. I'm trying to think like what else I want to say about this divine timing without super confusing all of you. But I think you've gotten it. Okay, the next one is the way that source or spirit will communicate with you is through the language of the heart. So you see how I'm talking about all these different forms? Like think of all of like these different forms. So we're on now number 11. I'm calling them forms. You can call them, like, I want you to think of them of like language. Like these are the languages that source or spirit is using to communicate with you. It's not a language like you think of, like how I'm speaking English, someone speaks Spanish, someone speaks French. It's different ways of language or forms of language. So number 11 is the language of the heart, okay? This is how source or spirit will communicate with you. The heart is a receiver and a transmitter of divine communication. You sense what actions align with truth. So, and you will have heard me say this so many times in some of the other lives where I say like, you know, some people are talking about politics or religion and and wars, and you kind of don't know what's going on, or you don't know what's actual truth. It is by the language of the heart. Even when I tell you guys, if you're on my lives and like there's so many sophisticated merchants or spiritual coaches and gurus and you don't know who's true and who's BSing you, I say listen to the language of the heart. Listen to what they're saying and you will feel the truth resonate in your body. This is the same thing that I'm talking about here, the language of the heart. The heart is a receiver and transmitter. So when you're receiving messages from source or spirit, you will know, right? The same way that source or spirit knows that you're sending them a message through prayer that is genuine. It's the same way that you're going to know here. So when you're receiving messages or, when you're receiving messages from source, you will know if they're true because you will know what actions are align with the truth. Does that make sense, right? So if spirit or source is telling you to like, I don't know, okay, let's say they're giving you a message and that message has an action, you will know by if that's aligning with the truth. Does that make sense? Like you will feel the truth. You will feel the resonance of the truth that you will know. You will sense the actions that align with the truth. Like that's the best way that I can explain it. So again, you have to understand how the heart communicates and you have to understand how the heart is a receiver and how the heart is also a transmitter. And I know that's super complex and really it is because nobody really deep dives into that, but it's a completely different language that is just like, it's intense. That's all I can say. It's really intense. Okay. Let me slow down. Do you guys have any questions? Let me know in the chat box. Okay. The next way the source or spirit communicates with you is that it gives you light codes or energetic downloads. So what are light codes? Light codes are data from higher dimensions entering your energy field. The message integrates as intuition or inspiration. So that's when you see people saying like 1111 are light codes or certain number patterns are light codes. Yes, they can be numbers, but they can also be like other things. They could be patterns. They can be something visual. So it is data that comes into the 3D reality from a higher dimension. It enters your energetic field. You see it. But then you also need to integrate it, right? Meaning like the data, usually the data is high energy or high frequency that it causes some ascension symptom within you, right? It can make you really tired. It can make you sick. It can make you sleepy. It can make you really energetic. So you need to integrate the data that's coming through, right? You don't just want to see the light code and then just sit with it and like do nothing about it. You really need to let it integrate. And once the integration happens, this is what people don't understand about light codes. Once the integration happens from the light code, it will result in inspiration or intuition, like I've said here, right? You will get the message as that form usually. So yeah, the energetic downloads and the light codes, they're like the same things pretty much. But well, they're not. They're actually different. But let's for the sake of this live, let's just say they're the same things. So they're the data from the higher dimensions entering your energy field, and you need to integrate them, and you will get the message from source. So like, is this a lot of this like decoding source messages? Yes, because source can't just come out of the blue and pop up on you and be like, hey, this is the message for you. Like, it's just too advanced like that, and it doesn't exist, or they don't live in the 3D world where they can just come up and like talk to you in English. A lot of it is fragmented, like I told you before. So you've got to really understand these languages so that you're getting the message crystal clear and there's no confusion. Okay. Oh, I have some more notes about the light codes and energetic downloads. I didn't see that. Turn the page. So the information arrives as energy, geometric light, vibration, or sound that the mind, this is exactly what I said, that the mind cannot immediately translate. You may feel tingling, hair tones, see colors, or know things that you've never studied before. So yeah, so this is all true, right? This is how the energetic downloads or the light codes work. They, like I said, it will give you some sort of intuition or inspiration. But again, it is something that you probably haven't known before. Like, there is so much stuff that I know that I should not be knowing. Really. Guys, I stay knowing way too much, and sometimes I just need to shut up about it, but I don't. But again, yeah, it will happen through light, vibration, or sound. And again, this is what I said, you can't immediately understand it. You need to integrate it because the mind cannot process it. It's not something that the mind processes. It's like a whole body experience. So again, you might feel tingling, hair tones, see colors, and you might know things that you've never studied before. Yes, like 100%. You're going to be like an all-knowing, seeing person. Okay, does that make sense? The next way that source or spirit communicates with you. I just looked out the window. It looks like it's going to be a thunderstorm. Okay, the next way source or spirit communicates with you is through telepathy. And I've talked about telepathy before. So this means that you will sense people's thoughts, emotions, or intentions before they speak. But this happens not only with people. This happens with animals, trees, or even places. The consciousness within all things whisper through energy exchange, 100%. Spirit or source will talk to you through telepathy, meaning they're not using words. The information comes into your mind, into your thoughts first, through emotions as well. Again, it's not just animals, it's literally everything. It's places. You can go to like a historical site, receive information. You will see that in my post, right? That I recently went to Halifax and I went to the George's Island, and I was getting messages like, so again, it happens at places as well. And it's whispered through the energy exchange, right? It's through the energetic exchange that the message is coming through into your mind. It is not being spoken out loud. Does that make sense to you guys? Telepathy is like a really wild one. I know people like don't get it and don't believe it's real, but like it is amazing. It is honestly one of the greatest gifts that you can have is telepathy. Okay, the next one. Oh my gosh, okay, we're almost done. Let me keep going. The next one is the universe communicates with you by their glitches or their time ripples. And you're probably wondering, like, what does that even mean? Occasionally, the matrix itself will bend to deliver a message. Okay? For example, a clock may freeze, or a clock may freeze to symbolize a symbolic time. You may see repeating loops in reality. You may experience deja vu. You may see a future event happening before it happens. These are what I like to call reality pings, meaning time is fluid and consciousness create forms. So you will see these glitches in the universe or the matrix, that they do happen. I know a lot of you experience deja vu, but it's a little bit more than deja vu. It's like, and that's why I use this term reality pings, because it will be a reminder to you that time is fluid and consciousness is created in form, like at that time, right? So I hope you guys aren't getting confused with this. So it's reminding you that time is not real. Let's put it that way, right? The glitch in the matrix will remind you that time is not real. Will it feel like a glitch how you see on the TV when it like glitches like that, black and white? No, it doesn't feel like that. It generally happens where time freezes, or it's something to do with time, or yeah, I would say generally the way that I've experienced it is like it's something to do with time, where time is actually moving and you're aware of it, but then the glitch in the matrix has stopped time, that you can actually see the disconnect. Like you can see like, shit, like something has happened here where like you're witnessing this, and it will literally blow your mind, and you will be like, what is real? Okay, so this glitch does exist. When people talk about this glitch in the matrix, which I'm sure you've heard people talk about, yes, is 100% real. You will experience it, like I've said, where you're standing on the outside looking in and you're like, wow, okay? And it usually has to do with something to do with time, showing you that time is fluid and that consciousness is created in form, actually. Okay, so you have to really understand how the universe is communicating through these glitches. And I'd say this is a very more advanced stage. I don't know a lot of people who've experienced this glitch. A lot of people see deja vu and they understand that it's deja vu, but they don't understand that they haven't like seen it where the time, they've been frozen in time, right? Or something's frozen in time and time is still going. They haven't, I don't know a lot of people have seen that. Okay, the next one that source or spirit, the next form or language that source or spirit will use to communicate with you is by visitation by beings of light, ancestors, or guides. So this usually happens in your dreams, or you may see a shimmering light in the room that you are in. For example, in the room that I'm sitting in right now, I could see a shimmering light. I don't see it right now, but I'm saying I could, if they appeared, see a shimmering light, right? So is it happening in your 3D? And a lot of people, this is what a lot of people don't understand, right? Because they think that a lot of these spiritual concepts or tools or whatever you want to call them is happening in, you know, other dimension or other states. Yes, they are, but a lot of them happen in the 3D reality. Join my Sovereign Serpent broadcast channel. I post receipts there where I'm showing you things happening in reality. So can you see these light beings and angels and aliens and guides and whatever appear in your 3D reality in the room with you? Yes, absolutely, 100%. So again, they can be in your dream state, or they can happen when they're in the room with you. They talk purely telepathically, or emotional waves of peace, love, or ancient recognition. Yes, that's true. So they communicate usually by telepathy, right? They're not going to be in your room, like sitting down on your bed, talking to you, having a chit chat. This isn't that, right? This is something really different. So they're talking to you, again, like I've mentioned before, through telepathy or through extreme emotion, such as waves of peace, love, or ancient recognition. Each lineage represents themselves differently. So understand what I'm saying here. Each lineage, right? Each light being, each ancestor, each guide will represent themselves differently. I'm just looking at my notes. And each lineage interprets things differently. So, okay, even though they're doing this and they're interpreting each things differently and they're appearing differently, the message is usually the same. The message is that of love and reminding you of love. Does that make sense? Okay, so I feel like that's going to confuse people. Let me see if I can break this down. One of the ways that Source communicates, I'm summing it up. One of the ways Source will communicate with you is by light beings, ancestors, guides. They may appear in dream state. They may appear in the actual physical room with you. They talk to you, not by using language like English. They talk to you through telepathy or emotions. Usually the emotions are wave of peace, love, or ancient recognition. Each lineage will speak to you differently, but the essence is all the same. It is coming from a place of love. They're usually communicating something of love because they are so vibrant and they're so dynamic and they're from the higher dimensions and they just love everybody. So all they want you to usually talk to you about is love, okay? Put it that way. That's the simplest way I can explain it to you. And you're probably thinking like love, like, yes, how you feel like you love your parents or how you love your puppy or how you love your boyfriend or your wife, or that's not the love I'm talking about. This is a different way of experiencing love. It's overpowering, it's all consuming, and they want to remind you of that. So again, it's very different. Okay, let's keep going. There's only a few more, I promise. The next way Source or Spirit talks to you is through the mirror of the shadow. And you hear a lot of people talking about this, like shadow work, deep inner work. So yes, they will use the mirror of the shadow to communicate messages to you. This is not to punish you, but to actually purify you. And what you need to do is you need to integrate the messages. It is not there. You need to integrate the messages because what they're trying to communicate to you is that it is no longer needed to rule you. So what's coming up in the shadow is not something that you need to be worried about anymore, right? So you need to integrate the lessons that's coming up in the shadow work. People often refer to this as the dark night of the soul. And I often say, well, it's the dark night that births gold, right? That's the saying that goes with it. So again, they're using the shadow as a mirror to reflect back to you what you need to work on and to show you that that is something that no longer needs to control or rule your life, and you need to work on it, okay? The next way that Spirit or Source will communicate with you is through the language of sound and frequency, like I mentioned before. You may hear this in the ears. What did I write here? When the frequency shifts or a message is downloading, the sound becomes sacred or a portal rather than a vibration in air. So the language of sound and frequency is really different in the way that it works. You may feel like I said, ringing in the air. You may experience a lot of wax in your air, but that's just the message and the frequency downloading. The sound becomes really sacred. It's no longer like sounds that you're hearing, right? They're portals. Meaning the messages are coming through these portals, these entryway, these sound frequency. Think of like sound waves. The messages are coming through the sound waves, and those are portals that are giving you the message. So again, the language and sound of frequency is very complex. It's very elaborate, and you really need to tune into the different frequencies of sound. And one thing you'll notice on your spiritual journey is that you will start to have exceptional hearing. I have exceptional hearing. I can probably hear things in the house next door to me. But it's because you're tuning into the different frequencies, and you will understand what I mean when you get there, and you will understand the message, okay? You will understand and feel the vibration in the air rather than just hearing a sound. Okay, the next way that Spirit or Source will communicate with you is through the elementals and planetary communication. I've talked about this before in one of the lives when I went off on the elementals. I'm not going to go off on it today, but this is what I'm going to say. The wind may answer your questions with a sudden gust. The water reflects emotions back to you. Fire dances in patterns that tell you stories. You may sense planetary or cosmic consciousness. You may sense the hum of the stars or the pulse of the earth. So the earth itself and all of the elementals will communicate with you. They love to talk, let me tell you that. And they've got a lot to say, and they want you to understand them and talk to them and be friends with them. And you really need to figure out this relationship and this dynamic, because this dynamic is very conducive to your well-being, and this dynamic is insane. Okay, like yeah, this is just one of the ways that spirit or source is going to communicate with you. I don't know what else to say. You got to like really work on this and figure out how this is being used to talk to you. Okay, the next one, or the next language or form that spirit uses to talk to you, is through fractal reality and sacred geometry. This is kind of wild. So you may see geometric light patterns overlaying the physical world, such as mandalas, grids, or spirals. And I want to elaborate on this a little bit, because when it happened to me, I was like, what was that, right? Like, so when I say geometric patterns overlaying the physical world, does that mean you will see them here in the 3D reality with your naked eye? For example, in the room that I'm in, yes, they will appear in the 3D reality. You will look out your window and see geometric patterns. I remember I was laying in bed when I saw it, and it appeared in my room. So it's the same thing. You will see sacred geometry. You will see the geometric light patterns. This is the architectural language of source. Understand what I'm saying. It is the architectural language of source, showing you the blueprint behind matter. Let that sink in. Do you want me to repeat it? It is architectural language of source, showing you the blueprint behind matter. The universe is essentially speaking to you in pure mathematics and love. That is one of the ways that source will communicate with you. They love showing you that shit. Like, and it is wild when you see it, because you'll be like, I think this is one of the deepest and most sacred ways that source or spirit can communicate with you. I haven't shared my personal experience with you because I just want to keep it to myself. I want to keep something to myself, and this is one of them. But the symbol may be something you've never even seen before, right? It was something that I had never seen before. I never even knew what it was. I didn't know anything about it. And then I looked it up and I was like, okay, wow. Like, I can't believe I saw that. Like, it's just really, really powerful the way that it happens. And I think a lot of people get confused and thinking that it doesn't happen in the 3D reality. Well, it does. Let me just put it that way. So again, a lot of these things that are these languages or these forms I'm talking to you about, they happen in the 3D reality. Okay, we're on the last one. Okay, guys, oh my gosh, we're at 52 minutes, but let's keep going. The last one is through direct unity experiences, the state of oneness. So this is where all boundaries dissolve. You don't receive a message, you become the message. The voice of God is not heard, it's known as your own being. And you will realize that there was never a messenger or a receiver. It was only God talking to itself. And I think this is something really advanced and a later form of communication that will come in your journey. And you'll probably just listen to me say this and the way that I've read it, but I don't think you're understanding the depth of what I've just said. I've said there was never a messenger or a receiver. It was only God talking to itself. So you really need to sit with that and understand what I'm saying to you and what that really means. All boundaries have dissolved in this form of communication. You become the message, right? So you really need to think about that and see if you've ever experienced this form of messaging. Okay, so that's it. Those are all the forms and the ways. Well, that's not all, right? This is just the ways that I've come up with that source or spirit will speak to you. Like I've said, you may be experiencing some of them or all of them or none of them, but I don't think you should shame yourself or feel that, you're behind. It happens, like I said, in phases. It happens early, later, middle point of your journey. It all depends. Nobody is on the same journey. Like I told you before, I've experienced some of these early on in the journey, more complex ones, like sacred geometry happened to me really on in the journey, but then, and so did telepathy, but then later on the journey did synchronicities happen, or later on in the journey did divine timing happen. So again, it's not very linear, the list. It's just the way that I've outlaid it to you in this live. What else do I want to say? And again, I want to reiterate the fact that yes, a lot of these happen in your 3D reality. They happen here on Earth. A lot of people don't talk about this. They like to talk about spirituality as something foreign, or like experience in dream state or other dimensions or other states of consciousness where you literally have to take psychedelics or something to reach that state, but that's not true. It happens in your 3D reality. It can happen in the very room you're in, and it's pretty crazy. It's pretty intense, but it's actually very wonderful and magical at the same time, and I hope you get to experience it. So let me know if you guys have any questions. If you're watching the replay, feel free to ask a question. If you want to go deeper, we're live every Sunday at 2 p.m. I usually post a question box in my stories, and you can ask a question there in advance if you don't feel comfortable asking on the live. Please join our email list. Join this free Sovereign Circle broadcast channel. I don't bombard it. You won't be getting a message every day, but if something is important, it's in that channel. The receipts are in there. The predictions are in there. What else? You can join us on TikTok, YouTube, X, and you can also book your private energy reading. Now would be a great time. I'm just saying, now would be a great time as we're moving into the new year. So book your energy reading. If you want to book spiritual consultation, the link is in the bio. The link is in bio to everything. If you want to watch the replay, watch it on YouTube. You don't have to look at me. You can just listen to me. And that is it, you guys. I love you so much. Thank you for joining. I will see you next week live at 2